Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is James Duggan with IGN, and I'm here with Steve Gibson, Vice President at Gearbox, and we are here to discuss Battleborn, but more specifically in this video, the many progression systems of Battleborn. I think it's one of the most interesting and defining elements of the game. So there's multiple progression systems, but for now, let's at least talk about the in-mission Helix system. So during the game, Battleborn, you level up relatively quickly, but that progress does not carry over from mission to mission. So can you explain the thought process behind this decision, and what does the inclusion of a system like this bring to the game?
Sure. So here's the thing that what we're thinking about is, like, people love leveling up, and they love getting new skills and trying out new things with the character. So that actually, I'll tell you what, I'll use, for point of reference, I'll use it with the Borderlands characters. So when you're playing through Borderlands, say you've gotten, I don't know, 2/3 through this story, right? And you're like, I play an accent, I get this particular mission, and I'm like, man, I really wish that I could have played as Maya in this thing, right? And when you think about the progression system as it comes to Borderlands, well, I would feel like I'm taking a step backwards. So when we were thinking about, like, hey, that's something we would love to let people experience more characters at, what we did with Battleborn was we made it so that everything happens quicker on the character progression thing, and you get to experience more things. Also, say you get a particular story mission and you're like, man, I really want to play as someone else. The way Battleborn is built, I can actually swap out which character I'm going to use, and I actually use my command rank and my other stuff to actually affect my guy. So my global progression still affects my character, but my in-mission character, now I get to experience a growth ramp and try things, but I don't feel like I'm stuck playing just as one character when I get a particular mission. So that's why 25 characters, like, we really wanted to get all these different things that people experience. So that's the idea there, is like, I want people to experience that growth ramp, but I'm thinking in a broader sense of I want people to experience lots of characters. So that's how the system was designed with that intent.
Very cool. Okay. So aside from leveling up during a match, there are also character ranks as well as that are persistent across missions, as well as a command rank that affects your entire account. So this is a lot of different progression systems. Can you tell us, we've just gone over the Helix system, can you tell us about character rank and command rank and how they differ from the in-match progression?
So Helix skill system is analogous to the skill tree in Borderlands, right? Or in a lot of the games that you play, where you'll see, like, okay, I'm going to choose this thing where my bullets now turn to fire bullets, and like those kind of things. Like, okay, I now gain an ability. Command rank and character rank, those are more akin to, we'll keep using as a point of reference the meta rank system, or a badass rank, honestly, if you think about how it applies to Borderlands. That is a global progression. Those are things that are in the world where, like, no matter where I am in the game and what I'm doing, my progression is global. So if I want to play as Orendi, or if I want to play as Caldarius, my global experience points, they actually apply to the thing. And that's what Badass Rank did to a degree, but it was just increments of it just a little bit. So imagine this is weighted a little more heavily so that my global progression affects things a bit more. And it enables me at the character rank level also to choose which gear that I can equip and how it affects all these things. So we've basically taken some of that stuff and made it a bit more global, all with it in mind that you're going to experience more characters and you don't feel like you're taking a step backwards when you switch out characters.
So there are incentives to continue playing, obviously. It's not just like you finish the mission and everything is erased permanently forever.
Yeah, it is built with that in mind, that when you play through the story, that you actually continue to gain progress and experience, and it actually affects your next mission and how you progress through that. That's all built that way. It's just all with the idea, like, man, now I'm going to experience a bunch of different characters, and I don't feel so stuck to the decisions that I made hours ago when I only just saw the title screens where I saw these characters. Like, man, turns out I really don't like playing as Brick and doing melee, but I'm 4 hours in, I don't want to start over. Battleborn actually affects that. So, like, okay, well, my global progression will just carry over to what the new character I want to play as.
Awesome. Okay, so we just talked about the story and how the progression system affects that, but there's also a competitive multiplayer, which is completely separate from Borderlands, and it's a little bit new territory for you guys. But my question is, how much of the progression system design was informed by the needs of your competitive multiplayer?
It's all linked together. This isn't our first foray into PvP. We actually worked on Halo PvP. We worked on Counter-Strike PvP. We've done it a lot. It just, you didn't see it much in Borderlands outside of the arena and that kind of stuff. But this global progression and the entire system, we started thinking about and building this in 2009. And what we're doing is, when you play in Battleborn and through the story, all of the things that you do that affect your global progression, those carry over into the PvP modes. You know, you don't ever feel like you're stuck doing one or the other, or one's behind the other. Actually, it carries all together. And that's a great thing for a lot of people who feel like, well, I want to train with my friends and play through some of the campaign and learn how to use these guys. I don't want to get my ass kicked by some guys who really know these characters. And so that time where you're learning these things, it can be in a situation where it all carries over as well. When you think about a lot of games that do PvP and in the shooter genres, there's usually like, what, 4 classes, 6 classes. You have, well, I have my rocket guy, I have my melee guy. Like, there's only like one iteration of those things. When you have 25 different classes, though, there's several different styles of melee. And because we have so many, we can actually try different, variations of that and also get to more extremes of that. If you think about that, you actually have to play a little bit safer when you have less character classes, because you want to make sure that, well, everybody who loves melee needs to be, like, they feel safe in this choice. Now we're going to have melee characters like, wow, that feels really awesome, but some guys like, man, I hate that. But the thing is, there's 3-4 other melee guys they choose from, so we're actually able to go to more extremes and try more things because of the breadth of character classes.
So when you talk about a game like Borderlands and a game that's PvE focused, you want to be badass, and that's kind of a word that you guys have almost trademarked at this point. And so you want things to be powerful and impactful and things like that, but then when you move over to a PvP scenario, you want it to be balanced. So how do you strike up the right balance between feeling impactful in campaign, but also being balanced in competitive multiplayer?
It is a pain in the ass. It is just countless hours of iteration, of design. Those guys work their ass off on it. It is just countless hours of, honestly, staring at Excel spreadsheets. We have constant playtests where we bring in guys off the streets. We have events that we do where a bunch of guys sign NDAs and they come in. We just did one a little while ago over in Florida where we just need as many people as possible playing it, and then we collect all the data and we're like, okay, well, this guy's clearly broken, or this guy's doing exactly what we want to do. And it's constant iteration. It is with 25 classes, like, holy crap. And we know that even once the game launches, there's going to be people who find things, and we're going to have to keep balancing even post-launch.
So we can expect post-launch balance updates and things like that.
We have to, right? Like, that's just the way the world we're going to be. Like, earlier I mentioned, like, we were doing tests back in 2009 actually with the Shift infrastructure. That is what will actually enable us to do all of this data collection and balancing and all that stuff. So what we'll do is it'll be quick, near immediate updates. We've actually been testing this. We call them micro patches in Borderlands 2, where we actually load the latest balance changes in the game the moment you load it up. There's not going to be a situation where you're waiting like, man, this dude's, Caldarius's thing is busted. Well, I got to wait for the title update for 2 months. Like, our expectation is that we're building to be able to react quickly to things like that. And that's what Shift is enabling us with Battleborn.
That's exciting. So going back to the command rank and the out-of-match progression, how much of a vertical progression does that represent? So in other words, am I going to be required to have a certain command rank or have a certain amount of power out of match to be able to clear some of the harder content in the game?
Honestly, no. A lot of the thing we had in mind is we don't want people to feel like, well, I would love to play that thing, but I got to invest 7 hours to get there. What we expect the way the story progression will be is, imagine it as almost like a TV series kind of situation where, like, you know how the story begins, you know how the story is likely to end. I think the good guys might win. Who knows, right?
One could hope.
Right? But what happens in the middle, a lot of that stuff actually get kind of interchangeable in a way, right? Like, imagine some of your favorite sci-fi shows and all that stuff. Like, that episode could have happened previous to that one or after that one. So, and the way we're building Battleborn is also accounting for that. It's like, you know what? That sounds like a more exciting mission. I don't want to wait 4 hours to get there. So the way the Battleborn is being built is enabling people to actually try different things, much like we're thinking about how characters, and you can actually try different things. Same thing with actually some of the story content.
So it's an entirely more modular experience.
Yeah, if that's a word you want to use, yeah.
That's exactly the word I'm using. So how does the fact that when you start a match, a Battleborn starts out at level 1, and then towards the end of the mission, they hit level 10-ish. So they're going through a huge vertical progression there. They're getting all these different cool skills. They're becoming way more badass in the span of 20 to 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So how does that inform your mission, boss, and level design? Has that been a challenge?
Yeah, it's that's also, like, that's the word of tons of iteration. And actually, in the demonstration we're showing off, there are some situations where characters who have more mobility, for example, they're able to do things, and we imagine, like, okay, we know roughly 2/3 through the skill helix, everybody's going to have their ult, and we imagine roughly what those enable people to do, and so the designers all think about that when they imagine, then they build out the story missions, and that's really, really iterative work that they bust their ass on. And the simple example, though, is when you look at the E3 demonstration that we gave, you'll notice about 2/3 in, there's a situation where you can go grab a bunch of shards, and it's off to the right, and it's really elevated. I think Thorn and Caldarius, for example, they can get there really quickly over to the right. But if you go to the left side of the world, or the story side, there's actually stuff where the melee guys would excel more, and that's where you would want, say, Wrath to go.
Interesting. So there are different paths you can take in the level depending upon what your composition is.
Yeah, would be more ideal for you. Like, everybody can end up getting there eventually, but the idea is that whatever your skill is will enable, like, well, that's the right choice for me to go quicker to get what I want.
Well, Steve, I commend you guys for trying something new with the progression system, and I know a lot of players are kind of mystified by it. And hopefully we've cleared some of that up and you have a better picture of what Battleborn is going to be here, at least in terms of the skills and progression. But the best way for players to figure out if they're going to enjoy it is to play it. So when can we expect like a beta period or just some point when someone can jump in and try the game?
Oh man, we are so close to actually announcing. We're really excited to be able to tell you guys when the actual launch date is, and also we are going to be having a playable alpha or beta or whatever you want to call it that we're about to sort out and nail down the final dates. We're working it out right now, but expect news.
How exclusive
very soon.
is that going to be? If I'm a fan and I don't necessarily have any industry contacts, am I still going to be able to get in and maybe play it?
I would recommend you get a Shift account.
Okay, you heard it here first. Get a Shift account, ladies and gentlemen. Steve Gibson, Vice President at Gearbox, thank you so much for joining us. For all things Battleborn, keep it right here on IGN.